Okay.
and introduce yourself, and then I can share the screen with the agenda just to make that easy, because I know you
That'd
don't.
be great.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm going to pull it up, but hi everybody. Thanks for being at the UNNC sustainability meeting, and it's wonderful to see you all. I'm Elizabeth Fenner, the co-lead with Dan Cagle, and I hope to expand. I think both Dan and I are burning the candles, multiple candles at both ends, and so super happy to have the participation here. And I'd like to pass it around the room to have everybody introduce themselves for just a minute. And if it's okay, I'd like to start with you, Teresa.
Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. Hi, everybody. I'm Teresa Masonette. I live on 8th Avenue, and I represent the West Adams Avenues on the UNNC board.
Awesome. Thank you. And Marius, you were just on screen, which was so great. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Marius Stelli, and I live in Jefferson Park, former UNNC member, and yeah, here to see what's going on at the meeting.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks. And may I also say that Marius is a business owner of, I can't remember the name of the business. It's a green landscaping business.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Yes,
it called?
Yes, it is. It's a business and doing native plants. So that's environmental and working to make sure increase our native plant spread throughout the area.
Yes, had a big successful project at Washington Irving Library, and also has plans, made plans with me, where we went up and down Jefferson looking for places to plant trees.
Yes. All right.
Thanks, Marius. Judy from Arlington Heights.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Judy Ramirez. I live here in Arlington Heights, and I get emails from UNNC, so I decided to see what this meeting was about. And I really like plants and trees, so I'm excited to hear what's shared today.
Oh, wonderful! Welcome. Thanks. Great. And Laura, you anchor our team here.
Which team is that? The environmental team or the UNNC team?
Both. Right. I was going to say you anchor our relay. Go for it.
Yes. So my name is Laura Myers, and I am a longtime member of the UNNC board. I live in Angeles Vista, and I am currently the president of the neighborhood council, the co-chair of the land use committee, and the Zoom host of all of our committees. So I'm learning a lot about the environment, homelessness, recreation and parks, outreach, marketing, and so on and so forth. So Judy, we have a lot of active committees. This one's very cool, though. Okay, done.
No pun intended, as we try to.
Right. So Elizabeth, so I'm going to prompt you through this. The next item would be approve this agenda, and that it requires the little prelude that I will say for those who are new. The way UNNC has set up its committee system, we do appoint the chairs and co-chairs, but other than that, we invite our stakeholders not just to attend the meetings, but to participate actively as members of the committee at the time the committee is meeting, so each time. So as a member, you can vote, you can make motions, and fully participate. Any actions we might take other than the approval of the agenda are merely recommendations to the governing board, and it is the governing board that makes final decisions. So with that, Elizabeth, you should call for a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, can I do that? Right, so I move for us to approve this agenda. Does everyone get a copy of it in the email or look at it here?
It's right. Can you see the screen?
I can see it, but it's not scrolled down. Could you scroll down past review? So the items are reducing plastic waste and skip the stuff ordinance, draft community impact statement, council file, update on street tree planting, maintenance program, and update on pool blocks program.
Right. I feel that we will need to table item 5, the draft community impact statement, since Dan was drafting the community impact statement, and obviously he is not here and has not sent us the draft. So I think we need to table item 5.
Okay.
Other than that, I second the motion to approve the agenda.
All right. Do we have votes for approving the agenda? All in favor?
And just raise our hands, everyone.
Just raise our hands. Cool.
All right. Okay. We have a majority. Judy, we're not sure if you raised your hand. Yay! Okay, thank you.
Sorry, my camera's not working. I just got a new laptop, so I'm trying to figure out how my camera can turn on.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
I'll just use emojis for right now.
That's perfect. Okay. All right. So that's approved. And then Laura, you took away the agenda. So
yeah, I will just call it. The next item is public comments, which are comments on any item not on this agenda, but which would be within the jurisdiction of the UNNC Environmental Committee.
Okay.
I have my hand raised.
Go ahead. Yeah, Teresa.
Okay, thank you. First, I'd like to, I posted a link in the chat, Elizabeth. It is for the comments on the draft tree list that was compiled by the city forest officer. So if you and the rest of the committee, I already explained this already, but I'll just say it again for you. If you get a chance to take the survey and put in your comments about what you think about this draft list, about almost 80 trees, I think. When you start taking the survey, there will be a link so you can see all of the trees that are recommended, and then they'll you can recommend other trees, or if you want more trees that provide shade, or just a lot of questions to help them make sure that they're on the right track. So if you get a chance to take the survey, that would be great. My second announcement, and I'm not sure if you and Dan are aware, but in August, the board wanted everyone who was interested in chairing a committee to come and self-nominate at the meeting. And neither you nor Dan appeared at that last week's meeting, so we officially do not have a chairperson for this committee. So if you or Dan or anyone else is interested in chairing the environmental committee, if you could come to the board meeting next month and just self-nominate, and then we can vote on it, that would be great.
Right. So yeah, Teresa, I think we left it as we just tabled those committees where people weren't present. We didn't unvote them. But either way, yes, please come to the next committee.
Yeah. Okay, yes, I'm sorry. I thought it was a 12-month period. That
well, yeah, there's that, but on the other hand, we didn't table all the committees for the month of September. That we're just moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at some point, I think we put on the agenda that, we
correct. We're going to bring it back next month.
Nominate.
Yeah, we're bringing it back for next month.
And I'm sorry that Dan isn't available tonight, and I'm sorry that he's feeling poorly. I can follow as well as better than I can lead, and especially right now, because I have a few other irons in the fire. If anybody else in the room would be able and willing to chair this committee, I'd be ecstatic. And
yeah, at the moment, Elizabeth, no one raised their hand at the board either. We can talk offline, and maybe we can put our heads together and find one more person, because Dan has been a little overwhelmed with work. So, but we don't need to have a full discussion since it's not on the agenda tonight.
This was a public.
It's a public comment, but yes, we need to bring someone to the board meeting to keep this committee going.
Absolutely. Okay, Teresa, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you're ready to do it right now, 1 being don't put me in there. Where would your number be?
Okay.
0.
I don't know Well, first of all, Laura, please, I can speak for myself. Thank you. I'm the secretary. I don't know if you know, but I was elected to be the secretary, and that's
Oh,
a
of the
lot.
board?
Yes.
Oh, that's a
So,
big job.
yes. And I still want to try to do things with trees because, I'm the tree
Yeah.
liaison.
Yeah.
And also on the side, I really want to work with emergency preparedness, even though that's not
Okay.
my main
Okay.
focus. So I don't think I can really take on anything else, Elizabeth, to be honest. I still want to come to this meeting and kind of put my 2 cents in, but I really don't, I don't think
Wonderful.
I can.
Okay, that works for me. Thank you. Marius. Interest in leading this?
The tree initiative,
Yes.
or
The
let's
tree
give me
initiative?
information
Or,
what the responsibilities and stuff are and what we're doing, and let me know.
Okay,
we're talking about the environmental committee, aren't
we
we?
are talking about the environmental committee, and let's take it. Again, this is public comment, so we can't really have a discussion. But I can
Okay.
happily email Marius. I can email you and copy in Elizabeth, and we can put our heads together. I will explain what the duties are.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. And
Okay.
we have somebody new in the room, Charlie Pop or
Yeah.
Pap?
Early Pap.
Pap? Hi, welcome. Would you like
Hi,
to?
Charlie.
You'll have to unmute yourself.
I think she's just joining.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, pipe in. Any more public comment? Any others? Hi. Hi, Charlie. Hi.
Sorry, it wouldn't let me unmute. Hi, good to be
Hi.
here. I'm Charlie. I'm an at-large board member, so
Great. What area do you live in? The
I'm
neighborhood?
in Harvard Heights.
Harvard Heights. Wonderful. Okay, we're well represented here.
Thanks
Great.
so much.
We're finishing up on public comment, and I have my own public comment to add. I am part of an organization called Citizens Climate Lobby. It's over 10 years old, working for a carbon price. And now we've come very, very close trying, and the Senate is now seriously talking about including a carbon into the reconciliation package. It would put a price on carbon, and how they're talking about it is that they'll direct the money that they would get from that tax and give it to people of low income.
Okay, Elizabeth just froze. Okay, Elizabeth, I don't know if you know you're frozen. You probably do.
I just text her to let her know.
Should we just go on to the next?
Yeah, because I think she will be rejoining. Because she just actually fell off the call. So the next item is review and approve the minutes from the last meeting. And we have 3 of us here who were at the last meeting. We can do that, or do we want to wait till Dan is back next month? Teresa, what do you think? Charlie?
Well, I just looked at them and they seemed accurate to me, but
all right. I can I can find them.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from last month.
Okay, well, do you think I should be posting them at least so other people can see them?
Well, the 2 people who are here, the 3 people, none of them were at the meeting. So can they comment on the minutes if they weren't there?
Nope, they cannot. You're right.
So I make a motion to approve the minutes from last month.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Okay, Elizabeth's rejoining, but I will just say it's been moved and seconded. Only 3 of us are eligible to vote. I vote yes. Okay. So minutes, sorry, Elizabeth, minutes from last month are approved. And so did you want to complete your public comment?
Hi, sorry about that. Yeah, I was typing it into the chat and then I just completely disappeared. The link is cclusa.org.
Okay, try that again. What is it? CCL.
usa.org/white-house.
Okay, so CC like cat, L like Laura, USA.org.
Yes.
Like that?
I can't see it yet.
It's in the chat. Does that look right?
Does anybody else, anybody else could check the link and see if it takes them to an email program.
Yeah, I don't want to do that because I myself have low bandwidth tonight on the Wi-Fi. I'm on a mobile hotspot.
I just checked it and it does direct you there.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
That would be very meaningful. Don't need to take any more time with that.
Okay, so Elizabeth, I know you don't have this. The next item on the agenda is a broad item, reducing plastic waste and the skip the stuff ordinance. I'll read it out loud. What is plastic number 6? Learn that and more when we discuss. We have a discussion regarding the new skip the stuff ordinance, including plastics, which becomes effective in November, as well as other Reusable LA initiatives. Reusable LA is a coalition of organizations working to reduce plastic pollution in Los Angeles, to safeguard our public health, communities, and the environment through legislative advocacy, outreach, and community engagement. So that's what the agenda item says. And Charlie was going to do some research. I also ended up doing some research and found a pretty good video, but it's really long. It's like 14 or 15 minutes, so I don't know if you guys want to watch it. It's all about why plastic sucks, pretty much, but why the recycling industry is having trouble with plastic. So I don't know if we want to watch it. It's already 8:25. I didn't think so. And I'm on a hotspot, so I'm not sure I can share.
Can you put it in the chat, Laura?
I can. Oh, yeah. And so this is an NPR. Yeah, that's okay. Some of us, like me, our brains aren't always perfectly working. That's exactly right. I'm going to give you 2 versions of the link. They may go to the same place. And it's an NPR kind of feature story that's on YouTube, and it interviews people at municipalities who are in charge of recycling. It's really about these mountains of plastics that can no longer be recycled. One of the people who's interviewed is Amy Ham, who is your neighbor, Teresa. She lives on 8th Avenue, and she lives across the street from Gavin. And in the newer little blue house, sort of the mid-century blue house, I think it's blue, maybe it's gray.
But Gavin is on 7th Avenue.
On 7th, yes, on 7th Avenue. She lives on 8th. I know. Your neighbor versus I live on Gramercy. Your neighbor versus my neighbor. Charlie lives on Hobart. But anyway, Amy's day-to-day job is she's in charge of recycling for the city of Burbank. And so she's one of the people interviewed in this NPR. So those 2 links that I just posted are more or less the same link, but you can see they're slightly different, and hopefully one of the 2 works. Or you could Google, as I did, recycling plastics, and the video came up. So, okay. So what I can post, well, Charlie, were you able to, this started with you talking about plastics number 6. So maybe you could start the conversation as to why you got interested in that.
I think when I was pregnant, I kept noticing like all these plastic number 6 containers, like to-go containers. And I don't know where I saw something about it, but I then looked it up because I kept seeing this number 6, like styrofoam is plastic number 6. And there's, but when I looked it up, I was really surprised because I found that New York City has completely banned plastic number 6. So in New York City, you are not allowed to sell, use any products. You're not allowed to use plastic number 6. And it's like a known neurotoxin, and it's like made worse when it is, in contact with acidic things and hot things. And so a lot of coffee tops are made out of plastic 6. Like if you look at any, when you get coffee next time, almost all of them I've noticed are made out of plastic number 6, which is, again, like hot and acidic food coming to contact with it like the entire time you're drinking it. And it just really bothered me. I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's one of those things like the more you look up, the more you find out like how everything is just toxic. And I think, it's a little overwhelming, but I feel like it felt like, okay, maybe this is like a manageable chunk that we could address in our neighborhood. And I'm so new to this process, so I don't really even know how to do that, but I brought it up as a concern. Maybe that's one thing that we could do just in our neighborhood is try to make it like plastic 6 free.
Right.
Yeah, it says that I looked online. It's a polystyrene that includes styrofoam. So, some of that was McDonald's used to have the clamshell styrofoam back in the day for the Big Macs and stuff, and now they put it in paper a long time ago. So that's part of it.
Well, in my looking at various videos, and some of them were just so out there, basically saying the entire plastic industry is a lie, but I didn't want to share those videos, right, because they're too out there. But basically, it seems that the crux of the matter is that that triangle symbol that we are looking in, that's with the little arrows that chase each other, that's the symbol for plastic, has been kind of absconded with by the Make America Beautiful campaign, which is funded by the plastics industry. So this goes back decades. And they have that symbol, and they started out with an anti-littering campaign, but it wasn't sufficient to reduce the use of plastic. But they thought by numbering things, people would therefore recycle. But of the, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 10 in the triangle, but only plastics 1 and 2 are recyclable at all, meaning that they can be broken down and then used again. And 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 can't even be reused. So it's not just 6 is what I learned. So you should look at that video, but in the meantime, that's part of the you reduce the other ordinance that has passed. So should I share the screen with that ordinance? The one that takes effect in November?
Sure. But while you're doing that, based on that discussion number, that ordinance, what can we do? What would you like us to do?
Well, I think it's already passed, so we don't need to make a comment on it. So here it is. Let me reduce it. Can you guys?
Great. Just scroll down.
Yeah, I have to move it over. So these are all the whereases, but it's already passed, and the ordinance has been adopted. So it's essentially, here are the definitions. So it's disposable foodware, accessories, plastic drinking straws, condiment packages. So I think we've probably heard, here are the definitions. I'm getting to the rules. Ugh, a lot of definitions. But beginning November 15, coming up 2021, large food and beverage facilities shall basically display advisory notices telling people about disposable foodware, not provide any self-service disposable foodware, not provide anything at a drive-through, but the customer can ask for it.
Yeah.
And that's the big deal. People can ask for it, but
Yeah.
it's not to be automatically popped in a bag. And so if you're ordering food online, there's an opt-in option. You can still do that, but not provide it to anyone who doesn't opt in. And then next April, all the small ones have to comply. So the bigger ones, I don't know how they're defining bigger versus littler, but essentially, I feel that maybe what we can do is more of a information campaign. Develop, try to figure out how to communicate all of this to our stakeholders. Right? Should we do a Facebook? I mean, it would end up being working with our marketing committee, but I mean, we're not going to do enforcement. So I think all we can do is information about this. But I wanted, on the heels of Charlie's request that we talk about this, I found this motion. So that would be the question. What would you guys want to do? That, my thoughts is a marketing campaign.
Charlie, we got some energy here.
Yeah, I get, as I say, I'm so new to this whole process, so I really am like want to learn kind of from you guys, like what we could do, because I kind of don't know. I as an individual, like I email, if I find that a place is giving me like a top that's a number 6 top, I'll email them and say like, I'm really disappointed that you don't use this, that you use number 6 tops and blah blah blah. But I haven't found that to be super effective yet.
Is it possible for us to go to certain businesses and encourage them to switch over to biodegradable or plant-based type of items that are less toxic and do less harm? I realize this would include some type of a education to the people, but I think if businesses switch over, people realize that, that's the choice they have, so they'll do it. But
Yeah.
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 Because if you just tell people businesses no, they'll just say, well, what are we supposed to do? That's all usually what they like to say. So yeah.
I think it's hard too because it's more expensive, and I don't know. I mean, I guess it would be interesting to do some research to see like what, for coffee tops, just because I'm stuck on that right this minute, but like what the actual difference is between the price of the coffee tops and like, I mean, if it's just a few cents a coffee top, I think that would be kind of an easy thing to convince somebody of. I did write Alibi about it though, and they replied and they were really like nice about it, but they still use number 6 tops, and they use different number 6 tops than they did when I first complained, and so they've bought new number 6 tops since then. So anyway, but I think if we could give people information about how, like, which tops are not toxic and which ones are biodegradable, and then how, like, with the cost difference.
And that's a campaign to our local businesses, or to, I mean, is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but again, as I say, like, I don't know how all of this works that much, so I'm really open to hearing other things.
I think local businesses might be the better bet. Your average person, they may just say, well, I don't really care, just give me what it is. There might be a few who do care like we do. But I think trying to inform the businesses and maybe show them alternatives, ones that are hopefully less cost prohibitive than some of the other items that sometimes come up, it might be helpful to them because it's easier when the customer receives it. If it works, that's all they really care about. So yeah.
Well, I have a question. Well, first of all, I can't see if anybody else's hands are up, Elizabeth, because I'm sharing the screen.
Oh, so no hands are up. Yeah.
So would most of our small business restaurants and other small businesses, would they be buying their supplies at Smart and Final or at Jetro, or would it make any sense but we'd have to ask the board, can we do this? Would it make any sense for us to prepare a letter and then send it to the suppliers and say, can you you know, I mean, not only can you help all of our businesses understand that they have to comply with this law, which this law is, if I don't ask for it, I don't get it, right? But it also seems to be that if I am taking a beverage to go, I do get it, whether I've asked for it or not. They're not going to give you a beverage without a lid, right? But this ordinance is, if you don't ask for it, you don't get it. You know, you don't get forks and spoons and, you know, those little packaged napkins with forks and spoons unless you ask for it. And that's a good thing, because a lot of us are taking stuff straight to our homes where we have forks, knives, spoons, and napkins. But beyond that, if the suppliers were supplying different lids primarily, then our businesses would be buying them. If there's no place for them to buy them, then where do, you know, how do they get them? So
And-
Teresa, you're sort of sitting back. I can't tell if you're pondering how we would do this.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing, Elizabeth. I'm just trying to think, if we were to do a letter and we were to distribute the letter, could we also say, here's a bad lid, but here's a good lid? You know, to not just to say this is really bad, but to say here's an alternative, you know, type of lid. I mean, I don't know. I'm still thinking. Sorry.
No, that's good. I mean, because I think those who were at last month's meeting, you'll remember, I was drinking a drink that had the number 6 lid on it right there in the meeting. And then, but B, I had also mentioned that I had gotten a coffee at one of our local places that had the proper lid, but it completely collapsed while I was drinking and the whole drink fell down my front. So, you know, yeah, not so good to have a eco, you know, green, as it were, lid if your drink ends up on your body instead of down your throat. So, you know.
So there's so many fronts here. There's so many fronts here. The plastics, the restaurants, not only, and then the Smart and Final and the Safeway. I'll just, little anecdote is, I was in Sedona, Arizona, and I went to a Safeway, and I looked, and they had both 100% bamboo toilet paper, and they had 100% recycled toilet paper. Let me just say that I was doing the happy dance there in the aisle, because thank you, Teresa. But the thing is, we want to say thank you to companies that offer alternatives. I think we want to be the people that go around thanking people, not telling them, you know, what you're doing is against the law, or you're doing the bad thing, because really everybody's just trying to, you know, get through, right? I got to take this call. It's my son, and he's here to pick up his car. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I meant that was directed to you, Laura, that you can stop sharing the screen now.
Okay.
Already. Yeah, that wasn't about her.
Okay. Well, yeah, when I'm okay to stop sharing. Yes, I don't read chats when I'm sharing, because I'm always worried that I'm hitting the wrong button when I'm doing that. Well, Marius, go ahead.
Marius has his hand up.
Yeah, and there's a good question, because the restaurant supply places over there off of Jefferson, there's 2 big ones. Yeah. It'd be good to send a letter to them, because I imagine a lot of the smaller restaurants, and not the chain restaurants, probably get their supplies from places like that.
Right.
Charlie, what type of lids do they use at Starbucks? I don't drink from Starbucks.
Oh, they actually don't use number 6. I'm not sure if it's one of the easily recyclable ones, but I looked it up. I don't drink Starbucks very often either, but I did look it up because I was curious, like, okay, does this like major, you know, retailer use the same thing? And they don't use number 6 lids. And I think I reported last time, Fence Coffee doesn't use the number 6 lids. I really love Fence. This is just a plug for Fence. That's not related to what we're talking about. I'm sorry.
Yes. Fence being a new coffee house on Washington. And there's so many new coffee houses in the neighborhood that it's like, how, you know, if you went to one a day, it would take a while to get back to the first one again. So a couple of things. I want to circle back to my first question. Given that this is the, what are we calling, what's this ordinance called now? Skip the Stuff starts on November 15. Should, and Lizzie's here too, should we just create a little Facebook marketing campaign? I mean, for UNNC, we can have a story on the website. We can have a Facebook, and then once the story's on the website, it can be a part of the e-blast that Madam President sends out every once in a while with news and updates. But should we do that and ask the marketing committee to have our graphic artist create a little, I'll just call it a logo, a campaign logo for this, and get the word out to people about Skip the Stuff? That's not the same thing as Skip the Plastic number 6. But what do you guys think? Teresa?
Does the city have a logo already? I mean,
Skip the
there some
Stuff?
stuff that the city? Yeah, does the city have for this?
I don't
ordinance
know.
or any of that?
They
We
might
could just grab that instead of putting
Mickey
using,
through the yeah. Well, we don't have. I mean, yes. So whoever doing the artwork aside, should we do it? That's the question. Write an article, have Lizzie or Raheem or Gabby do it out on Facebook. Lizzie's here, but she hasn't said anything, and she's not here for this reason, so she may be doing 2 meetings at once, and she was just monitoring ours till later. She's here for a different reason. But if we want to do that, I don't know that we have to vote, but I don't want to start that ball rolling without knowing that other people besides me think it's a good idea.
Well,
Yeah,
Charlie, you brought this up. Oh,
sorry. Go ahead. I just said yes, that's all.
No, I just wanted to say this was something that was important to Charlie. So how would you like to see it play out? You would like all of the coffee houses, let's just start within our footprint, to use number 6 lids, correct?
Yeah, well, and I think what Laura brought up earlier made me realize, like, I would want to even do more research just because I feel like it would make sense if they used, number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like those ones would also be just as bad. So, so I think, yeah, figuring out like we were talking about, like what the alternatives are first. And then again, like, because, I think especially for those smaller businesses and even the coffee shops where, they're independent, like I just, definitely am not trying to create like a burden, for people financially and, don't want this to like push somebody over the edge. But
the reason why I mentioned that is that if we're going to do a campaign, put it on our Facebook page, or even if Laura sends out a letter, an e-blast letter, it would be helpful to say, not this, but this.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think because it does feel like it's more of a business. I mean, it would be maybe for consumers to look out for, though, too. Like, this is what we're trying to do in our neighborhood. Like, if you notice that a place is, packaging your stuff in certain plastics, like maybe you can say to them, oh, I'd really love if you could, whatever.
Yes, if you could use this instead.
Yeah. And these are where they're available. And because I do think a lot of people just don't, I mean, I didn't know prior to looking it up, and you just kind of.
Did Charlie freeze?
Yeah, she froze now too. I hope that's not because I'm on a hotspot. But
Marius and I haven't frozen.
Right.
Did I freeze?
Yeah, you did. And there you go.
Oh.
There you go again.
Talking about you.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we have multiple prongs, and Charlie, why don't you and I offline kind of maybe figure out what we want to write?
Okay.
I don't think this requires any sort of, at this stage, any sort of board action. If how it starts, and it doesn't have to start this week, obviously, but if the first stage is saying factually the city council has passed an ordinance that will have us all skipping the stuff unless we opt in, but then we could add to that some a bit of opinion that while you're opting out and also sometimes opting in, consider the following things. But maybe Charlie and I can develop that. And if it feels like it goes beyond what we can do on our own, then we can revisit that in a month and take it to the board. Because the actual skip the stuff start date is November 15th. So we have a little time.
And if you guys, Laura and Charlie, if you guys don't mind looking to see if there's already some graphic.
Exactly.
Instead of, if we could use that instead of putting an additional burden on our graphics team, I think I'd feel stronger about that.
Teresa, I'm constantly giving them graphics to use. Sometimes they think I have good taste and sometimes they do not. But you know, which is fine. So it's because there probably is. I mean, probably the Reuse LA website, which is what I found this other stuff from, probably does have some logos. Here we are, Elizabeth's back.
And Elizabeth, I just want you to know, I wasn't that statement I put in the chat wasn't directed to you, it was directed to Laura.
Yeah, I was talking about toilet paper and I was like, okay, TMI. Oh.
No. No, we want to hear it. Go back to Sedona. Tell us the rest.
I get so excited about recycled paper goods. So that's all. Oh, well, you want me to finish my thought from before?
Sure.
Yeah, our initiative, I think, will be multifaceted and will be ongoing. And I think we should probably base it on positivity, like the behaviorists do, sort of reward good behavior and ignore bad behavior.
Is that how we train a dog as well? Probably not.
Yes, that's the best way to train a dog and a person. So, right, we reward the companies that are doing it right. We show people how to do things the right way. We show that doing things the right way leads to a better world, better health, happier lives. And then we just keep pushing and we find different initiatives, different ways, and we spread the word. Right?
So while Charlie and I, because you missed this part, Elizabeth, well, Charlie and I might figure out what we're writing for an article for the website that will be distributed about skip the stuff and choose the right plastics. Should we also, not necessarily Charlie and me, should we in the Universal We identify some of our local businesses that are doing it right and then also showcase them in our Facebook posts?
Yes. And also put it on not on Facebook, on Yelp and on Google, reviews that say thank you for using recycled goods, or for offering me a mug, like a ceramic mug, asking if I was eating here, or, real plates, instead of just giving me disposable everything automatically. Does that sound good to, I'm sorry, I was gone so long. Does that sound like an approach?
It does. No, so sorry, because now I'm thinking, because Elizabeth, you and I don't have a total same approach to COVID. It's like, I'm thinking, oh, no, I'm not eating at that restaurant. Me, Laura, I don't want their ceramic mug or their real plates. I'm taking it home with me. So,
okay.
But this is the now, and we should have a longer view. We don't think we're going to be in a COVID pandemic forever. We sure hope. And so, yeah, that's a good idea. It's a good idea. I'm just like, oh, no, not me. I won't. But I'm definitely noticing, Charlie ruined my life. I'm definitely noticing that some of my very favorite restaurants or places I get food to go, I do reuse some of it, but at some point it's not washable anymore, and they don't even have any plastic recycled triangle on them at all. And it's like, oh no. And I've been using some of the lids to go under plants that I water so you can capture the water. I've been doing all of that, but at some point there's just too much. So anyway, you didn't really ruin my life.
The industry is changing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a place called Eco Now down here, or there. I'm in OC right now, and there's a place called it's LA. It's Renew LA or Sustain LA. There's so Eco Now in Orange County, Riverside, and Anaheim has days where it accepts certain kinds of plastic. And I think it's because we don't recycle number 6 right now because the industrially it's too difficult, right? They don't have the system that does it yet. But maybe they have pockets where they will take certain plastics. And all we have to do is just wait for a moment to do that. I'm not sure how it works, but I know that the industry is changing.
Right. So again, I highly recommend that NPR story on that. I didn't share the video because there's explanations for some of it, and the big explanation is that China no longer wants to be the world's plastic recycler. So everybody who is sending stuff to China, China's done. They too are done with that.
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
so. And that apparently has had a major impact, as you might imagine. Okay, so I think I was going to say, I think
last thing.
Go ahead.
I think it would be, we as a group, we would be a wonderful group to take to a recycling station for a tour.
Well, maybe Amy would do that for us. I invited her to this meeting, but I'm going to pressure her since she is in our community and that's what she does for a living. So
yeah,
maybe we can arrange that when we're happy to be in person, if we ever are. I'm happier to be in person than to eat at a restaurant. Let me just say it that way. But I'll dry myself. Anyway, the plan I think right now is that Charlie and I will somehow come up with an article that will be on our website, but it'll be under Charlie's byline because we're getting her into the team. But we'll do it together because you want to move slowly on this, right, Charlie? And then we'll look for graphics on the city website, but somehow before that November 15, deadline, maybe in October, we'll start communicating. Not just, don't opt in on the stuff, but here's a better plan overall, and let's identify some businesses locally that we can add to that little Facebook campaign. And I'll talk to Raheem and Gabby and Lizzie about how to do the Facebook component. But they're used to it. They do these sort of standalone. I'm calling it a campaign, but that's because that's what they do. But they've done quite a few over time where they'll just focus on a subject and every couple of days add to it on Facebook. So on the UNNC Facebook. But then the key thing would be that we would need to go into the UNNC Facebook page and start sharing to our own networks. Sharing the UNNC's post to West Adams Heritage, which I'm the admin of, or whoever, just share them to our networks. And that will show, not just get the word out, but will show that UNNC is the entity that's getting the word out. So that's a win-win-win. So, okay.
I know it's 9 or it's 4 minutes to 9 too.
Right.
I want to respect everybody's time. We have a few.
Right. So the next item 5 is tabled, the community impact statement. Item 6, Elizabeth, is update on the street tree planting projects. There's not much to say at the moment. I don't know if Teresa wants to report out or if I should report out. But the report basically is, I don't know if Teresa's going to add to this, but at the moment, we're still waiting for the city clerk's funding team to write the check to KYCC so that project of planting trees on Washington can officially start. KYCC is ready to go. They've got all the trees identified, all the permissions from the inspectors at the city of LA. They've got everything except not our money. And we're not going to pull the trigger on the rest of the fundraising till we know that we're actually getting the money from the city. So Teresa has her hand up. But
I was going to let you, I was waiting for you to finish. Sorry.
Oh, okay, so that's the KYCC project. I'm crossing fingers. There's no real reason why that money hasn't been approved, but it hasn't been approved. It hasn't been denied. It's just sitting there. The Jefferson's Boulevard Green Belt project's different. There's a situation where there's concern that the partner, which is Cal Greenworks, may not really have the rest of the money that it had said it had for the partnership. So that, in other words, we were adding $7,000, and the neighbors have a grant from Lonnie for, I think, $2,500 or $3,000, but Cal Greenworks had indicated that they have a different grant, so that would be the only contribution UNNC would need to make was the money we allocated. And now there's some concern that Cal Greenworks doesn't really have all of the other money, but they are currently proceeding on the project. They're already doing the outreach, and they have asked UNNC to write a letter that states that we support the tree planting project, which of course we do. But anyway, so Teresa might add to this. I'm trying to be circumspect with what I'm saying, as you might have noticed.
Well,
oh, Teresa, you had
go ahead. Go ahead, Elizabeth, please.
I was about to kick into the earlier promise I made to help fundraise, but so
yeah, that'd be the KY. The fundraising would be the KYCC.
Yes. Do we have a responsibility to the Jefferson Boulevard Greenbelt, and are we being asked to help with that?
No, not at this point. Okay. Well, we're not at this point. We're not being asked to help with it. We don't know if there's.
Okay, let's wait. Yeah, let's wait to discuss that until we actually are being asked. And so what we need to do is raise money for our trees, the trees that are are going up. And just let me say though that I am been noticing street trees, and I'm so excited about our area. We've been doing something right, not me, but somebody's been doing something right, I think, along our boulevards. So I'm just seeing them everywhere. Teresa, you had something.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm slightly confused when you say we need to do something for our neighborhood, because Jefferson Park is part of our neighborhood.
Sorry. Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
That's okay. But let me just go back for a moment. And Laura's already heard this, but I cannot say it enough. 2 years ago, I went to a meeting before COVID at CD10, and Helen and Dolores Spears were there presenting this whole thing about trees on Jefferson Boulevard. And a year later, the trees hadn't been planted, and I understand there's a problem with Cal Greenworks and all of this other stuff, but that was the main reason why I decided to run. Now it's 2 years and they still don't have trees in that Jefferson Parkway, and we're talking about putting trees in Washington Boulevard, and I just feel that that's unfair. I know that there's a money situation, and we've already allocated money for Washington, but it is not fair. It is not equitable. That situation was happening 2 years ago, and because of politics and a possible failure of a company, we have not put up trees there. And in the meantime, the other part of West Adams Boulevard on the other side of Crenshaw, they have trees. They have a whole thing happening there with new crosswalks and trees and everything, and we're still sitting around forgetting about Jefferson and moving on to Washington, and I just think it's unfair.
Yeah, well, Teresa, I understand your point, but it's a nuance of funding. The funding that's now approved for KYCC can't move to Jefferson, so we need to solve the Jefferson problem, but we can't do it here tonight. So, and I'm not positive, this is a double negative, or a double positive, I don't know. I'm not positive that Cal Greenworks doesn't have the money. That's Greg's gut thought, but we don't actually have an indication one way or the other. I understand that there are problems and we're trying to solve them. But what you're bringing up, equity for Jefferson, while I agree with that, the funds for KYCC were voted in now for something else. And we can't move things around because we lose the funding. I mean, it's just that simple. So
okay, I'm going to state again that I disagree with that. And the subtlety of this is when Elizabeth said, we need to take care of our trees.
Okay, wait a second. Can I explain something real quick?
Yes.
I tried to help with Jefferson. Marius and I both, for several years now, have tried to help with Jefferson. And that's why I say, are we being asked to help with the Jefferson Greenbelt? Because I have spent hours and hours, I mean, dozens of hours working on that, and then realized that I have no authority to help. It's not under my leadership. I wasn't asked to,
right.
And I'm not part of the decision making there. So therefore, I can't help unless I'm asked to by the people who are running that. And if they come up with specific requests, I am more than happy to contribute whatever I can, but I have not yet been asked.
But
I don't.
Who are those people, Elizabeth? When you say you haven't been asked, who would you want to ask you? I'm sorry, Laura. Let me just finish, please.
Wait, guys.
Laura, Elizabeth, do you mean like Dolores Spears, or do you mean Helen?
Helen Chowdhury was spearheading it, and I think Helen Chowdhury and I think Lizzie, who's on the line now, they were interacting. They were finding their own funding. They were doing a project, and that's totally fine, and I completely support that. But I wasn't ever asked to be a decision maker in that, or was this committee? And if that group wants something, ask for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what I'm trying, and Teresa, I think when Elizabeth said our trees, she lives where you live, so she doesn't live in Washington either. The Our Trees project is this committee, when it came back online, became the KYCC project, became this committee's project. Our Trees, our project. We've worked our respective, what's off. We were trying to continue to plant on Jefferson. That the project started out, and Elizabeth spent time looking for places to plant on Jefferson. And Helen definitely came to this committee and said, never mind, we've got Cal Greenworks. And she said it in a much less nice way than that, much less nice. And it's okay. So and they brought that project, and if that project collapses, we'll bring back KYCC, assuming that money doesn't collapse with the project. I mean, the issue right this second is, is the project going to collapse? If it is, do we retain the money? Are we going to have a battle with City Council, having City Council go to the clerk and get our money back? We don't know. In the meantime, we must proceed on the other one, assuming that funding doesn't collapse, because there's just rules about funding. So, we can't move the funding we have on the KYCC project on Washington Boulevard that's also been approved and been inspected and is ready to go. We can't move that money to Jefferson because it's been approved differently. So we're going to try and do both, is the bottom line. And at the only update here is that at the moment, neither check has been cut, neither to KYCC nor to Cal Greenworks. And I don't know why the KYCC check isn't yet cut. So Lizzie has her hand up. We're going to run out of time to do the rest of the agenda, but go ahead. I lost Elizabeth here too. Elizabeth, are you still here?
I just my internet was unstable, so I took my video off. But
okay, so Lizzie has her hand up.
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we hear you.
Thank you. Yes, I had headphones, so I wasn't sure. Hello, everyone. Good evening. So just to clarify some points here, the group that spearheaded the Jefferson Greenbelt project is the 31st Street Quality of Life Committee. Some neighbors on my block, which includes Helen, Audrey Arlington, Dolores Spears, Albert Aubin, myself. Uh, so at years ago, we spearheaded two citywide contests for clean streets. We got some funds, which are still part of they're still there for safekeeping. At the time, because the budget was still kind of large, we could afford to spend it on this project on the Jefferson trees because of logistics, our personal requirements. We wanted different trees there that at the time KYCC could not provide, etc. Many circumstances, personal circumstances as well from some of the people of the leadership. So we got to where we are now with two different projects, but you know, still in the spirit of increasing the our street canopy in the UNNC footprint. We are remaining on standby because unfortunately this organization, Call Greenworks, which was recommended to us by another organization, by the LANI organization, apparently this organization is going through hard times for whichever reasons, so we remain on standby. And Elizabeth, I really appreciate your offer to help. At this point, we can only wait. And I
How much?
have
Okay.
I
How much
attend.
money are you? How much money do you need?
Well, it's the 6,900, I believe.
No. Lizzie, if it's a start over, do over, it's the same amount of money we need for the other project. In other words, 3 years of watering and maintenance is
Yes,
$1,000,
exactly.
$1,000 a tree, total
Exactly. Plus
25,000.
2 years or 3 years more of
Right.
watering and maintenance. So yes, it's a lot of money, which Coggreen Works was supposed to be contributing to with their federal mandated grant that they supposedly had. So I don't know where that went. So we're just remaining on standby. But from now on, I think I will just be monitoring on behalf of our 31st Street Quality of Life Committee.
Right. So the basic update, I'm circling back to the basic update. Two projects, neither one has had a check written from the city clerk. I do not know if the check will ever be written to Cal Greenworks. I'm crossing fingers that the check is to be written to KYCC for that project. I'm also crossing fingers that a completely unrelated check, there's one more check that's pending, gets written, because then if both those checks get written and the Cal Greenworks check does not get written, that money can technically come back to UNNC as a rollover fund, and we can easily reapply it to KYCC for Jefferson Greenbelt. The issue is that our treasurer was told there's a 50-50 chance, or a high percentage chance, that if the check's not written to Cal Greenworks, it will simply go to the city's general fund and we lose that money. And if that's the case, I feel like with a lot of lobbying on the part of the council office, we could get it back, but it won't be tree planting at the end of October, if that's what happens. So.
Right. Teresa.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I just want you guys to know that the city forest officer and the urban forest division are going to start recommending 5 years of watering for new trees.
Right.
That makes sense.
So our fundraising efforts. The handwriting is on the wall about what we might need to do with GoFundMe or whatever. The trees on Washington Boulevard also have some promised monies from the neighborhood associations up there, but it's not a lot. It's not 25. So, you know, and I know that the neighborhood associations are kind of non-existent in Jefferson Park. They just have block clubs, so there's not going to be that kind of money available, unfortunately, in Jefferson Park. So they're going to need more help. If this blows up with Cal Greenworks, they will need more help. So anyway, that's the update. We are really going to run out of time on this agenda if we don't stop.
Okay.
I mean, we have one more thing on the agenda.
I guess I'm appreciative of the communication, and Lizzie, I appreciate you being on in the meeting today and then giving us the details. I'm pleased to hear that you got the tree choice that you wanted, and so
well, they got the tree choice at the moment, unless they lose this partner.
It's all up in the air right now, so
yeah, I mean
we'll get what we can at this point.
Right. The difference between the two, one of the differences between the two entities is that KYCC project is further partnering with City Plants, and City Plants is providing the trees for free, but they're being very specific and using only the trees that the inspector has specified, and the inspector specified specific trees for each of the 25 spots on Washington Boulevard. Whereas on Jefferson, they were doing it a little differently, and Cal Greenworks, part of what it's supposed to be doing is purchasing trees. So they were purchasing the trees that the Greenbelt team wanted. So, okay, it is 9:14, and we have one more agenda item. Elizabeth, you're muted.
Sorry, yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. Okay, so the last agenda item is the update on cool blocks. And it's the same, the agenda item is identical to what the Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance actually emailed out to the neighborhood councils, so I'll read it. And well, actually, I'm going to share it, bring this back up, so you guys can read it with me. So it's right there. So basically, the NCSA has taken the lead now in the city to bring the Cool Block program back to Los Angeles. And it's a block-by-block organizing effort to help people create the neighborhoods they want to live in. This is so blah, blah, blah. And improve the environment at the same time. The key take-home is that they need to identify throughout the city 200 Cool Block leaders by September 23rd in order to win a grant, and I think it's $1 million, that would bring the program back. And learn more at this link. So I'm going to actually copy that. How am I going to copy this? Into the chat when I get back to chat. So I'm going to stop the share. Put this in the chat.
Is that 200 blocks in
200 blocks total in the city of Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Yeah.
So Charlie had wanted to do it on her block.
Yay.
I have a question about it because I have a crafted email sitting in my waiting to go box, but I wasn't clear on what does the $1 million do? Once we get do the blocks that are participating get any of that money, or I just want to make sure I can explain if there are questions what we're doing.
What a good question.
Well, what I understood is that there's a 5-month long series of meetings among the the neighbors in the within the same block. Each the leader would, I guess, delegate each meeting to be hosted by a different neighbor, and
Yes,
over the
we
course of
understand that.
5 months, there would be a share of resources and information. So maybe that's why they need to run this program. But I'm also hoping it's. I mean, what appealed to me was the fact that this type of organization also helps us to work on different other projects. So to be organized in this official manner, I think it's helpful. So I personally was interested for my own blog, and I will introduce and propose to join the cool blocks to my blog. But we'll see. We'll see.
Great. Teresa.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Lizzie, you weren't here at the environmental meeting last time, but Laura presented
Yes.
a PowerPoint presentation to the environmental committee, and Charlie was wrangled into representing her block. So I think the question that Charlie just asked, though, is who gets the $1 million? Does the city get it? And if so, what does the city do with those funds? I mean, I know that, I don't know how many, do we have any idea, because it is a citywide program. Are there 150 other blocks that have already registered and they're just now looking for 50 more? Or what the status is? Does anybody have any idea?
The person who would have first-hand information on this is would be Lisa Hart.
Right,
She's
I
the
saw.
one, and I can send her an email tomorrow to find out more about this.
No, yes, I received that email too. And I don't know if you know Lizzie, but Elizabeth is on that committee. So she's been very
Yes, the
involved with that committee.
NCSA. Yes,
Yes.
that is correct.
But I'm not trying to suggest that we need to do more in our footprint. I think when we talked about Charlie doing it, it was as a prototype to see if it would work in the future for other blocks in our footprint. Uh, that was the initial idea. And I don't know if that's changed, but Charlie, you're still interested in doing your block?
Yeah, I'm happy to. I mean, we have such a sense of community already. So, I think that's a benefit in terms of like, it would probably not be hard to create it. But then I feel like another block that doesn't have that sense of community might benefit more because it might build that in the block. I'm happy to present it. I was, again, because I was kind of not clear on, with the funding kind of went toward, anyway, I wanted to be clear on those things before I even put feelers out. So I haven't put feelers out. So I guess I can't say that I know that people are going to jump on it or want to do it.
Well, I personally, I like the idea of doing a prototype, like having Charlie do her block, and then maybe next year, maybe she can come in and then she can explain it to the rest of the committee or the board, and the advantages of us doing it in our neighborhoods, and tying it in with some of the other things that Lizzie just mentioned, that we can tie it in with other things.
I mean, if I may speak, I think this call, I mean, the call for cool block leaders was sent from the NCSA for us neighborhood councils to share with the stakeholders, because this is not something that we as the UNNC are going to be having a workload on. It is up to each block, each individual, each person, even if your block is not organized already, they are still asking for people to sign up as leaders. So I think if anything, we can support by spreading information. And I had told Laura that maybe since I have the login information for our Facebook page, we should we should share that information with the rest of the stakeholders. And I don't think we have a major role in it as far as just whoever wants to sign up is free to do so.
I'm gonna do it. Laura.
Yeah, I think it's both. I think our as a neighborhood council, our role is to immediately spread the word. You know, we have a very short window for that. But I also like Teresa's idea that if one of our neighborhood council board members or several of our leaders do it, then because what it is, when I'm reading on the website, the NCSA website, is that it will be a 5-month, 9-meeting action-based program. So it would be kind of cool to bring back, if Elizabeth and Charlie and Lizzie all three do it, they could bring back a report, you know, in 5 months or 6 months, whenever the end of it is, as to create a prototype to do more. And I agree with, so Teresa's idea is great. Lizzie's idea is great. I don't think the neighborhood council in the broad brushstroke plays a role. I mean, we're not going to vote. We're not going to say, we're nominating Charlie to be a cool block leader. She can volunteer herself, or anybody can volunteer themselves. But if we have our board members and leadership involved, then we could treat it as a prototype, pilot or something. Okay. So what it actually, I don't have the answer to the $1 million question. What it says on the Alliance website at that link I just posted, it's free to the block leaders, 5 months, 9 meetings, action-based, self-directed by a team of 5 to 8 households on the block. So I think the first job of the cool block leader is to find, 7 other households to help you lead. And then each person hosts a different meeting. So, and they're focused on distinct topics. It's the same as what we saw in that video. That, each participating household on a block grabs a topic and then does a Zoom meeting or in-person meeting with everybody else on the block. So, I think it's a very ambitious program. I think it'll be interesting to see if they even get 200 people for real to volunteer, and then will that translate into 200 whole blocks? I don't even know. I mean, I think it's really ambitious in the middle of a pandemic.
Maybe the $1 million goes toward then funding like the materials and all of that stuff.
And the leadership training, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Okay. I'll put feelers out this week and see if I can get 5 to 8 or 4 to 8, I guess.
Yeah, before you raise your hand and say, I'll do it, yes, and tell anybody else besides us, because your secret is good with us for the moment.
Okay.
I think I'm going to just print out. I have a little color printer, and this is worth it. I'm going to print out that page, as much of it as I can, and then just deliver it to those neighbors. Actually, all my neighbors. I'm not going to cherry pick the ones I think would do well. I think I'm going to give every house on the block one of those flyers and see what happens. I sort of know the usual suspects, but I'd really like to include people who wouldn't otherwise think that they, would participate in something like that.
Yeah, like I'd be really interested to make sure that, because our block has mostly single family homes, but then there's apartments and there's fourplexes. And I think that, we've talked about this so much in our meetings that those, it's like sometimes a kind of a divide between the owners and the renters. And I think that the renters are a really important part of this block. So I would want a mix as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Elizabeth's on a similar block to you, Charlie, with a mix of homeowners and fourplexes and a couple of bigger ones.
Yeah. Hey, and all of you, I don't think I have your phone numbers. If you would be willing to share them in the chat, I'd love to, take them down so that, if a question or an issue comes up, I could be in touch with all of you.
Yeah, Elizabeth's a big texter.
I call too.
Laura's an email girl.
Okay. Yeah.
I read texts, but I don't do them so much. But yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Great. I'll save this. Oh yeah, I can save the chat. I forgot about
Yes. You can save the whole chat.
that. Okay. Super. All right. This has been productive. I think it's been productive.
I think I can say thank goodness we didn't have this community impact statement because it's already 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
And agenda too ambitious.
Right. I hope he's feeling better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so
Shall we adjourn?
yeah, so I was gonna say, let's just tell everybody, if you don't, do you all know how to save the chat? So just in case you don't, if you have the chat up, you'll see to the right where it says to and it says everyone, but then all the way to the right, 3 little dots. And if you click on the 3 little dots, you can click save the chat. And then you'll get all of the links. Teresa posted a link for looking at the new street tree list and taking a survey. We've posted the link for the Climate Change USA. Is that what CCL USA is? And then I posted the link to the NPR 15-minute story about recycling and plastics. And Teresa said I could stop sharing. Sorry. But then we just put all the phone numbers. And was there another link? I'm not sure. Yes. And then I posted the link for the cool blocks. So if you all save the chat, you have all those links. And then
For some reason, I can't seem to be able to to save my chat.
Oh, well, I'll send you the chat then, Lizzie.
Yes, please. Thank you so much.
Can do.
Right. Awesome.
Look, it's
Thank you for all
exactly.
your phones. I feel like more connected now that I have all your phone numbers.
Okay.
All right. And I just for the record, if any of you guys are out, you just want to spend an hour cleaning up a street, and I do that every now and then. And then I ran into a neighbor. I didn't know her, but we introduced each other because we were both picking up trash together. It gave me such a good feeling that if you guys are ever going on an overpass or just doing some cleanup, just text or call, and if I'm available, I would definitely join you.
Well, thank you very much, Elizabeth. About a year and a half ago, my husband and I grabbed a machete and some big black bags, and we were on the 10th Avenue overpass, cutting back those vines and all of that craziness before you actually crossed over. And there was a homeless guy living back there, but we spent all, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours over there just cleaning all that shit out. So it seems to be maintained well now, but if that comes up again, and sometimes my husband takes a ladder and he pulls down, he'll get off like, I don't know, on Washington or somewhere and start pulling down all those signs. But there used to be a lady on the Next Door Neighbor app who would say, oh, she's doing a weekend trash pickup or something. And I don't know what happened, but sometimes I think about it too. So I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Nextdoor too. Right, we could share some of those things like, oh, I'm going to go out this Sunday, and if you put it on Nextdoor, I'll find out about it and I'll join you.
Well, I do have to tell you, when Elizabeth's boys were younger, she made them water trees. Of course, they're both college grads now. She can't make them do anything, but we used to see her telling water the street trees here at 25th Street and 4th Ave.
I used to have a minivan, and I would put a big thing of water so I could water the trees in my minivan. And today I saw a minivan for the first time, a plug-in hybrid minivan. And and it gets something like 86 miles per gallon from the battery. 86 miles. So if I get another minivan, then I'll get a big water tank, and I'll go water.
Yeah, but
treat.
those boys will never be young again.
Yeah.
You won't have their helping hands.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I think we're over time.
All right.
Okay.
Good night,
Thanks,
everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you so
Thank you.
much. Good
Thanks.
night, everyone.
Good night.